Daughter Stereo Mind Games album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Daughter, UK-based indie folk band. They have been turning heads for quite some time, especially around the time of the If You Leave album, their debut album. A lot of people love the hell out of this thing. A lot of artists that I truly respect adored the hell out of this thing, and I do understand why. The band played a very, quaint brand of indie folk with some elements of dream pop and shoegaze. It almost had like a progressive element to it at times. My only and biggest issue with this album was I felt like Daughter were almost going through an identity crisis with this album. When this band sort of drifted off into a lighter ballad, I kind of thought that they were just hopping on the indie folk cliche bandwagon, and all of the worst ones were here on display. Now, I did think their follow-up, Not to Disappear, was a huge improvement all around. The material on this album was infinitely more captivating and just well wrote, well performed, and I did really see the hype. But once again, I did have a very big issue with the album. Now, I did like a lot of the material, but my big issue was when things got a little boring for a few minutes, I was damn near put to sleep with just how boring it could be. It wasn't often, but it was a big red flag for me. Now, this is their first studio album in quite some time. They did some soundtrack work, and, my hopes were high because I thought a lot of the singles were leading up to this album, but I have to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of the same issues that have plagued me for years with Daughter's music is still very much a thing. I mean, obviously, the band still do have a lot to offer. There are great tracks on here, like Party. This track is just a slow-burning indie folk rager. I mean, this track is narrative-driven. It is intense. It is visual. You're going to want to turn your brain on for this because I give it up to Daughter here. The details on this track are spectacular. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like if this was released in 2001, this would have been a whole lot more impactful. People would have been losing their shit. But hell, this is still really heartfelt, really powerful stuff, and a great track. And I cannot say no to Be On Your Way, not even close. This track is fantastic. This is a tender, stripped-down ballad with an immense atmosphere. The atmosphere on this whole album is really commendable most of the time. This is a spacey, dreamy, heartfelt ballad with a lot of mystery to it. It almost sounds ready for, like a David Lynch movie. All right, maybe not like Lost Highway, but maybe Mulholland Drive. The lush instrumental, the heavenly vocals, the dreamy atmosphere, it's to die for. And to say that this track, has a lot of heart to it would be an understatement. I think it's one of the better tracks the band has ever put out. I mean, yeah, I have my reservations, but then I hear tracks like Swim Back, and all I can say is, wow, this is immaculate. This is it. This is the sound right here. This is the sound I want a whole album from Daughter. It's beautiful, it's shimmering, and as far as their elements of dream pop and shoegaze in their music, it's never been done better than it has right here. This track is stunning. It is, in every sense of the word, larger than life. The songwriting, the heart, the emotion, it is all perfect. I have nothing bad to say about this. And Junkmail almost has like an early 2000s folktronica sound to it, which you can argue that it's really a little dated, which it might be, but I'll argue right back that this is done really, really well. It's meditative, it's got a strong narrative once again, and an even stronger atmosphere. And the intensely visual lyrics, they are just icing on the cake. I have no complaints once again. But as I dig deeper, I kind of find myself falling into my same issues with Daughter's music. I mean, with all the sweet, incredibly lush, atmospheric elements to this album, the intro to this album is just so phoned in. Dandelion just has me reaching for the meh button. This is just so incredibly average. I can list out a name of like 20 different bands that this could very easily be. It's completely faceless. The instrumental here is one of the more dime a dozen ones, and the whispered vocals are so cliche. I mean, I personally just keep having these issues with Daughter's music when they just, I don't know, when I just fall out of line with their slower, softer tunes, things get so boring, so fast. I mean, maybe it's just me. I hope it is. And I think Neptune is the worst track here. No joke. I wrote my notes for this review drinking a cup of coffee at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and I still managed to almost fall asleep listening to this track. It's so boring. It's way too one note, and it's almost 6 minutes long. I mean, you can argue that the vocals are sweet and this track is full of heart. It certainly is. But I think this is just phoned in. Like, I hear so many people saying that, you know, indie rock is running out of ideas, and usually I defend it. And then I hear a track like this, and I'm just like, shit, man. Yeah, maybe they are running out of ideas. The potential on this album, it's certainly here. I just feel like, as far as my taste goes, Daughter hasn't come full circle yet. Like, I hear a track like Future Lover, and it's so good. The hazy, hard to play, psychedelic atmosphere is just so colorful. This track is so unique. This atmosphere is so incredibly smooth, and the vocal work on this track, easily the best on this album. It's to die for. This track is just so easy to get lost in, and I got pulled back into the album, and then Missed Calls just wants to drag me right back out. This is, once again, just one of the most unnecessary interludes I've heard all year. Once again, this album is chock full of hazy, really compelling atmospheres, sweet vocals, really interesting production, and then we hear this, and it's so full of itself. Isolation doesn't help either. I hear this track, and, you know, the slight personality that this album had, it just goes right out the window. Once again, this sounds like a who's who of indie folk, and that is not a good thing. This sounds like it was, like, manufactured specifically to be played in the background at a low volume at your Starbucks. Now, they do bless us with one track more that is completely fantastic, and that's To Rage. I have nothing bad to say about this track. I actually think it's fantastic. Like, I adore this track's atmosphere, and when you break down the fundamentals of what Daughter are doing, it's all so simple, but they do the fundamentals so well when they focus on a track like this. It's great. The lapping guitar, the hazy atmosphere, it's so simple, but it's so effective. And it all just fizzles out with Wish I Could Cross the Sea. I mean, this track's not the worst thing going on here, but it's just, oh god, it's so average. I mean, the instrumental, it's pretty kaleidoscopic. It's a really interesting soundscape. I mean, I'm gonna be brutally honest, I think this is the track that you want to go with as a fully instrumental tune. If they did that, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I mean, I'm so much more interested in these hazy, colorful waves of sound that we get here, much more than the ho-hum vocals that we get on this track. They're close. Daughter, for me, are so close to making an album that I can truly appreciate from start to finish, but for my tastes, it's so hit and miss. Like, the good material here is so compelling, so different, so unique in the modern indie sound. And when it's on, and when they're on, I'm so happy and captivated on it, and I want to listen to it again and again. My only issue is when they get off the beaten path like a half an inch, I'm ready to fall asleep. And it's a really big problem for me. And you know what? I hope that it's not the problem for everybody, because I know people that love Daughter's music, and I hope that you enjoy this album more than me. But for me, they're close, but they're just not quite there yet. For now, I'm feeling a light 6 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.